what has changed after COVID,
Yes.
what are the top motivators when employees are looking for opportunities, and a lot of other things. If you look at what Gen Z is looking at, they want work-life balance, they want flexibility, they want to be able to work with for an organization which has clear D&I policies in place, which has clear ESG plans. So you're wondering if she can ever work from home.
No, but people are working from different places. You have to
Over-communicate.
over-communicate.
No harm doing that.
Yeah. Hi, welcome to another episode of Talent Ed with me, Nikhil. Very often, not very often in life, we come across someone who has been very successful in whatever field they are in or in whatever things they have done in life. Uh, when I first met the guest today, I saw their profile, I talked to them. What set them apart was the honesty, the unadulterated facts, and the kind of wisdom she could impart on different levels uh, of the industry space that we operate in, that is talent acquisition, and not just talent acquisition, on about building relationships, about understanding motivations, and about deeply being successful in whatever she has done. And today it's my honor and privilege to welcome the guest to our office, Rakhi. Thank you for taking out the time to come to our office and taking out the time for doing this podcast.
Thank you, Nikhil, for such a wonderful introduction.
And one more thing about Rakhi, that she is an immensely helpful human being. So I just want to thank you for the time that you gave us yesterday, also for the mock call, and the kind of prep that went into this podcast. So thanks for
My
that.
pleasure, my pleasure.
Rakhi, can you just tell us about your background? You have a very diverse profile, and coming from analytics to talent acquisition, and now handling clients directly. What has been the transformation? What has been your story? And I'm sure it will be very inspirational for a lot of people. Yeah.
Sure. So, Nikhil, just to give you a background, I am an engineer,
Yeah.
from a background. I was placed with ICICI Bank in Business Intelligence Unit,
Yeah.
and I was doing analytics. So my role was a combination of doing marketing analytics, launching CRM for the bank, which is customer relationship management tool. So we were evaluating a few vendors back then. So it revolved around multiple things within BIU. Post which I left ICICI Bank to do my full-time MBA from XLRI. I finished that and I was placed at HP, Hewlett Packard,
Right.
in the analytics role again in Gurgaon. However, because the organization had taken a call to move to Bangalore, I was searching for opportunities. I was looking for jobs, and I approached Michael Page to help me find a job. And to my surprise, I was actually offered to work with them as a recruitment consultant for analytics, and I happily took it up.
This is very interesting. There are two things that I had when you were saying it. Firstly, from engineering, like, does having an engineering background has helped you as a in whatever you have done? Like, I've seen people with engineering backgrounds become very successful in non-engineering fields. So is it there's a correlation there? And second, when you did your MBA from XLRI, did you know that you will go on to do TA in the future, or was it just because in XLRI you have done management, right?
Yeah.
So did HR occur to you there, or was it not that?
Yeah. So, first of all, to your first question about engineering, I don't think engineering really, molds you as a person just for one field. It molds you overall as
Yes,
a person,
yes.
right? You understand different things from different perspectives.
Yes.
So that's what engineering helped me, and a little bit of coding, etc., which kind of helped me in my analytics role with
Yes.
ICICI Bank. Now, MBA, while I was doing it, I never thought that I would get into a TA or HR role because that was not what I really was aiming for. However, the role with Page was not just recruitment or TA or HR, it was more to do with client facing or
Right.
business development,
Right.
which is what, kind of took my interest, and I kind of joined it. I joined Page mostly because it was a client facing role.
Talk about Page. I mean, it's an aspirational company for like, it is one of the biggest names in the world, not just in India or Asia. And it is an aspirational thing for so many people, who are aspiring talent acquisition professionals. What is Page all about? What has your journey been like, and what makes Michael Page Michael Page?
Sure. So Page is a huge brand, and within Page we've got different sub brands like Michael Page, Page Personal, Page Executive, Page Outsourcing, and a couple of more. Michael Page, caters to mid to senior level recruitment. Page Exec takes care of the more senior level hires, which is upwards of 2 CR, etc. Page Personal would look at your entry level hires. So in India, we are present. We have Michael Page as a brand, and we have Page Executive. We've also started Page Outsourcing. We've got something called as Page Contracting, which helps in contractual hires. So this is what Page is. The brands of Page. What sets Page apart? A couple of things which actually
Apart from being very expensive.
Yes. So Page, we've got a very good culture at Page, which I think sets it apart in the industry from any other player. And I feel proud about this fact that Page has such a culture. And I've seen that in my journey with Page for so many years. I've seen the culture evolve and become all the more better.
What is the culture all about?
So multiple things, are a part of our culture, all of this. We are a very high performance organization. We expect our employees to take charge of the businesses that they are handling. So it's like a ownership, yeah. So it's like Michael Page is a huge brand name, but within Michael Page, there are different businesses that people take care of, different disciplines. So we have multiple disciplines like your technology, HR, sales and marketing, and so on and so forth. And each of these disciplines operate like a mini startup. So people so people who want to take ownership, want accountability in their roles, want to make it profitable. We look for such people at Page, and that's what makes it a high performance culture.
How do you judge ownership? Or how do you judge hunger in an individual when you are hiring them?
Oh, there are a lot of things that we ask during our interview process. We also, give a case study or a project to work on and see how the person is able to think, what the person is able to, evaluate. We evaluate on various parameters there. If you want to be a part of Page, you can apply and then you go through the entire process.
No. It's so funny that when we at Suitable are a very young, early stage company.
Yeah.
But even then, culture is something that I think should be focused upon from day one. And I did not know that. It's like recent realization that we are going ahead with. Both me and Anmol, my co-founder, that culture is not something that will only build when you are 1,000 people or 10,000 people company.
It starts.
It is so important. It is undescribable at times.
True.
But can you give me some examples of things that Michael Page has done?
Sure.
To make sure that culture is one of the topmost things for them. Yeah.
Sure. So Michael Page as an organization, focuses on a lot of aspects when it comes to culture. I already spoke about high performance. We reward individuals who are doing exceptionally well. So that goes without saying. We've got a very, strong DE&I, team which focuses on a lot of aspects about diversity, inclusion. So talking about diversity, if you look at Page, we've got people from diverse backgrounds, people who've been into recruitment, business development is there, but then we also have people who are dentists, who are doctors, who are models.
Even your story, like you
teachers.
were an analytics person who was I think that's also a story of diversity, right?
Right. So we hire diverse people, but there are common threads, that they have to be, hungry for growth. They need to take accountability. They have to be resilient. Yeah. So these things bind us together.
How important is flexibility in the DNA of a Michael Page culture book?
Extremely important. And I think Page has been very, very flexible, not just in terms of giving hybrid work environment or working from home on the days that you want to, or working a little bit later during the day and, finishing off your work by night. This is just from a time perspective, flexibility from a time. How do you want time and space for yourself? But flexibility also in terms of, what are your strengths? What kind of roles do you want to work for? Do you want to, take up a different discipline? So it gives you flexibility from a lot of angles, not just from a time perspective. So DE&I has been a clear focus for Page since a very long time, and we're very, very inclusive. There's space for everyone, and we want everybody to feel psychologically safe when they're working with Page. So that's extremely important. A lot of focus on the physical and mental well-being of employees, which is also a focus, and more so after COVID. There's a lot of focus given. We have tie-ups with organizations like ICAS who help employees in times of need. They can give friendly advices. We do run a lot of things within Page, like every month on a Friday, we have something that we do together. We give some time off if people need to take care of their mental health, for their hobbies, for travel, etc.
No, that's and I think that is the reason why people are so stable and people stay longer even in a company like Page, or we have seen people who have been in this company for so long. You yourself have been there for so many years, which brings me, it's a good point to get a segue into the report. And I think what sets apart Page is also that it's not just talent consultation, it is talent intelligence and the kind of data that you generate, and the invisible revolution report that you just recently published. I think it also talks about how, the importance of the things that we talked about. And if you could just throw some light on that, what were the key findings, or summarize the report for our viewers? And by the way, we'll attach the link in our description as well. So yeah.
Sure. Just before we get onto the talent trend reports, I would also like to highlight that Page was also, ranked as one of the great places to work for.
Yes.
And not just great place to work for, but also great place to work for women, because we've done a lot of things for women employees. We've got development plans for our women leaders. We've got very good policies like phased return after maternity, or work from home for expecting mothers, or things like that. So yeah, I mean, overall it's a great place to work for women, men, all genders. We've got a lot of focus on hiring diversity within Page. So we are focusing on LGBTQ community, people with disability. Not just for Page, we are also helping our clients to hire for from these communities. So there's a clear focus on these things, and all of this put together forms a great culture at Page. It is a culture. It's a combination
of the small
things, which even can't be really defined here in while I'm talking to you. But so many things. So coming to Talent Trends report, we recently launched this report in the month of May. It's a report which was launched after surveying about 70,000 people globally. One of the largest surveys done in such a manner. We've done this across the globe, and from India there were about 4,000 odd participants. So it shows what people are looking for. The report talks about what employees want from their employers. What has changed after COVID? What are the top motivators when employees are looking for opportunities, and a lot of other things. So just to give you an idea, a couple of things which came up in the report were, one of the things was almost 98% people are open to new opportunities, which is a huge number.
Yeah, even I was aghast when I read that.
So when we say open to new opportunities, need not necessarily mean he or she is actively looking out. But out of that 98%, also there's this high percent of people, 70 to 75%, who are actively seeking new opportunities, and the rest are open to new opportunities. Quite contradictory to what we were expecting, considering the current market scenario and the economic situation. But yes, people are open to new opportunities. Gone are the days when they would remain loyal or stable with one organization, right? Loyalty has kind of lost its charm. So this was one major shocking thing which came out in the report, or a very insightful thing which came out in the report, which means that the employers will have to really take care of their employees.
It's a candidate-driven market.
Yeah, it's a candidate-driven market. A couple of other things which came up were, the work-life equation has completely changed for the candidates. It's of course the salary and career progression, which was the case even earlier, but people would also look at things like the brand of the organization and other things, which now has been replaced by flexibility, which is like a basic hygiene. Like if you don't give me flexibility, probably you're not in one of my top organizations that I want to join. So that is one major differentiator which has picked up all the more after COVID. And flexibility, as I was telling you, in various terms,
Right.
not just from a time perspective, from the hybrid work environment, but a lot of other things.
Those things are now given only.
Those things, it is given. It is a major change. It is
Yes.
given that you have to give me flexibility.
And what was very interesting was that this is not. It is not just on a certain geography or a certain role or a certain
Yeah.
level that people are saying this. It is across geographies,
Yeah.
across roles, across seniority levels that
Yeah.
everyone is feeling like that.
True.
And I think it also stems from the fact that during the pandemic, people started valuing
Yeah.
the role of mental health and their
True.
family well-being and
True.
now as the skills have also transitioned,
Yeah.
people will become more transactional
True.
and value their own health and their own well-being.
True.
Probably, I'm not saying over the career, but probably almost as equal to the career, unlike our parents who were
Yeah.
stable and who
No, they used to spend their whole
Yes.
life with one
Yes,
organization.
yes.
So yeah, no, very rightly said. I mean, people are looking at their jobs as very transactional. It's like, I work for you, you pay me salary, and I do what you want me to do. That's it. Nothing beyond that. Social connections, which used to be a very, very important part at work, has now been replaced by a lot of other social connections, right? So people are not really looking at work in the same manner as they would usually do earlier.
What will be your advice as a company, for a company who is hiring in this scenario? Like, if I am suitable and I'm starting to build my team or scale up my team, or even if I'm a bigger organization, what are the things that I should keep in mind while rolling out an offer or making sure that I am able to retain people and get people on board? So what is the advice according to you for people like us?
Sure. I think one is look at your resourcing model,
Yes.
how you are sourcing people, how you're attracting your talent, what is it that you're offering them which probably no other organization is giving, and is it very important? Is it matching with what the candidate wants from his life?
Yes.
It's extremely important for these two things to match. If the candidate wants ABC and you are offering XYZ, but you're giving a great salary, he might accept it for now, but it doesn't match with what he wants to do in his life. So extremely important to know the motivators of the candidate, important to know where you should get talent from, what you are offering which stands apart in the market. Apart from that, I think pay has been very important. You've seen salary still remains as one of the top deciding factors for candidates when they're looking out. So have you benchmarked your pay? Have you looked at what competitors are giving in the market? Are you giving something at par? What are the different components that you're adding to the salary which could value add to it as a package altogether? Also, what kind of a culture are you trying to build which is going to help you in retaining and attracting employees, right? Because very important to retain. No, if you keep hiring people and people keep leaving you, you will spend most of your time in just hiring the right set of people. Very important to retain your talent. Look at what excites them, what drives them. And we've seen that culture has become a very important part of an organization, which candidates look at. If you look at what Gen Z is looking at, they want work-life balance, they want flexibility, they want to be able to work for an organization which has clear D&I policies in place, which has clear ESG plans. So all these things matter a lot to Gen Z. If you want to attract young people, if you want to, and not just young, why should we say only young? When we did this survey, we found out that the percentage of people who have caregiving responsibilities, they look for work-life balance, as we would all know. But at the same time, people who don't have caregiving responsibilities, either elderly parents,
Or
kids, or pets, whosoever, but still they are equally seeking work-life balance.
Yes.
So it's become important across the levels. And this report has shown us that, this survey showed us that all these results are very similar across seniority levels, across age groups,
across
right?
industries
Across
also.
industries also, and across geographies also. If I look at it, even at APAC, pretty much every country is having the similar
Yes.
things that have come out in the
Yes.
report.
Do you
So-
think this is there to stay, or post pandemic this is a permanent shift, like, or do you think this is a temporary shift till the time or something like that? Like, do you think this will stay forever or for a foreseeable
You
future?
mean to say the flexibility?
Yeah, this change, this candidate driven market approach, do you think it will stay?
Yeah. See, candidates would, I think, always seek flexibility now since they have tasted it, right?
Yes,
And it's a
yes.
sweet thing.
Yes.
Who would not want? It has helped a lot of people in various ways. So it is going to stay as one of the top things that people would look for in their opportunity in their next moves, right? And we're talking about Gen Z, who are now then going to be the major workforce in the next 8 or 10 years, right? So their aspirations would still remain the same. They are clear about it since day one. So I think it's going to stay.
And I think one insight over here is that on our platform we have a lot of freelancers and this gig economy which is coming up, who are working, and even in agencies we see people are working from all the places, and I'll sure they are working from mountains to beaches at any given point of the day, and they are sourcing resumes and earning from our platform. And I think this is a good change. This is something that organizations shouldn't resist but welcome it. And one more thing which I think organization define clear KPIs.
Yeah.
I think when you expect clearly of the person what they want and deliver, and they are delivering, then I think organizations shouldn't have a problem with this.
True. I think, as you rightly said, organizations should not have an issue, and career ambitions, progression, all of this goes hand in hand with flexibility.
Yes.
These are not two different things.
Yes.
It does not mean that if a person is seeking flexibility, means he is not he's not ambitious, or he doesn't want to grow in his career. People want both things to go hand in hand, and why not?
Why not?
Both the things can go hand in hand.
And if we have seen in organizations that people who are even not working from office or flexible in any way, like we said, not just location, they might at times or more often than not outperform the people who are there. So
because you're saving on your travel time, you're saving on maybe stress, you're saving on a lot of noise too.
Yes.
So a lot of things that a person is actually being able to save his time on and make it more productive. But having said that, it is also equally important to be a part of the team and culture, right? So I think their
new
hybrid,
ways will evolve.
new ways will evolve.
Where organization will have to still instill that, because there is no point of culture if talent is not getting retained, right?
It is one of the toughest times in the last so many decades where organizations are actually putting in a lot of effort to build a culture which is for hybrid work environment. How to have everybody together. Some people are working from mountains, beaches, some people are coming to office. How to make sure that everybody is happy, everybody is given a platform to grow. So a very important critical time for organizations to build their culture.
On the last podcast with John, he said something which stayed with me. It is over communication.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the key things. Even in our company, if like people are working from different places, we have to over communicate.
No harm doing that.
Yeah, no harm doing that. Talking about culture and talking about the way this is changing. You are at the cusp of it. You are now handling client expectations, as well as you have done sourcing and talent acquisition with your team yourself. What has evolved as in like the role of talent acquisition person in this industry, or anyone in this recruitment industry? How has that evolved? Because if the industry is changing, the persons who are representing it or representing the industry to the client and the candidate, we are literally the matchmakers, right, of the motivations.
True.
How has that evolved, and has understanding of candidate and company's motivation now become the most essential skill for probably someone in this industry?
True. So especially in the last 1.5 years, a lot of things have changed in the talent market. If you see earlier, people were hiring in numbers. But now, people are very cautious about whom they want to hire. There are only certain niche skill sets that they want to hire. They are thinking twice whether they really want to hire or not. And even if they find the right person, they are thinking twice whether the person is the right fit for your organization or not, which is extremely important. So I think the role of talent recruitment or a person who is hiring such talent has evolved, because it's not just number games. You've got a role, you've got to close it with anyone. You've got to close it with the right person who will stay, who will perform, who will make it profitable, right? So understanding the candidate's motivations, understanding whether he or she will be a cultural fit or not has become extremely important. And our roles as a recruitment firm or a talent acquisition has become, more evolved, I would say. We have to be more cautious, read more between the lines, understand what a person really wants to achieve from this role. So I think it has evolved.
And I think for organizations also, reliance on talent intelligence firms. I think recruitment agencies will now be transformed as talent intelligence firms, which provide industry benchmarking, which provide what kind of employee value proposition that you should set. I think that consultative approach will increase. And I also feel that the reliance of organizations on consulting firms like Page or any consulting firm for that matter will increase in the future. Because as co-founders or as leaders, we are not equipped. Like, someone has to tell us what to do, and advisement will increase in that role. I completely agree with that.
We are a recruitment consulting firm. So our actual business is to recruit for our clients and place candidates and change lives. However, in the process, and if I talk about India, we came to India in 2011. In these last 12-13 years, we've spoken to so many candidates. We now got a team of 250 people in India across three locations: Bombay, Gurgaon, and Bangalore. We've been talking to candidates day in and day out. We've been talking to clients day in and day out. And the expertise to understand what a candidate wants and how the market has shifted is very, very real time.
Yeah.
It is, very real time. Like, we know.
Is it faster than what we imagine it is?
It is real time because we are talking to them. It is not from
I mean, the change in the expectation of the candidate that was 2 years ago versus now, is it growing? Is it changing faster than what we imagine, or is it?
Yeah, of course. I think COVID accelerated that process big time. And even organizations, I think, as I said, this was one of the critical times in the last so many decades for talent acquisition.
This is very challenging. You have to explain to a client that boss candidate expectations have changed. It's very challenging.
So that's why we call it consultative sales, no? Because you have to consult the candidate in terms of what he or she can look for or can go for. At the same time, consult a client in terms of what is available in the market, show them the market mappings, and make, set the expectations correct, that this is what you can get, right? Because a lot of times client would imagine that this is the kind of candidate that I want, but we need to consult and show them what's available out there and what is the best that they can get from the market. So
no, I mean, I understand completely, because there are times when, clients are opening new offices and, then we go back to them, we're like, this pool is not there. So we have to do that consultativeness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one more important trend that I wanted to discuss was contracting. I mean, in the talent job market, do you, considering the findings of this report and the way candidate expectations have evolved, or the new employer value prop which offers flexibility, something that is more, if you could throw light on contracting as a process, their prevalence in the Western world and now probably a growth in India, what are your views on that?
Sure. So contracting has always been prevalent in the West, but was a taboo in India earlier. But now after COVID, I think people have realized that they can work part-time, they can work on projects and still earn money. That's the main motivating factor. And there are a lot of organizations who want to, who probably take some time to hire the permanent resources, or want to be very sure of whether they want to hire or they don't want to hire. So then contracting comes as a solution for them, that they can hire contractual employees who can work on the projects and then they are done with it. At the same time, candidates get this flexibility of maybe working from a remote location or working from their hometowns or any other place, and not be associated with one firm if they're not too sure about it. So I think it is good for both, but it's still evolving in India. It has come a long way in the last couple of years, but it still has a long way to go.
But are you bullish on that? Like,
yes, of course.
And in any industry, or particularly in tech?
I would say more so in tech, but in my opinion, more so in tech, but it can be across all the industries.
I think one of the
I probably know the tech industry more, so I think that for sure there's a lot of, because it's a technical world, right? You can sit from a remote location, operate, or
of course, there are
Yeah.
some skills where you cannot do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
physiotherapy for that matter.
True.
So you have
Your wife
to,
is a physiotherapist,
Yeah.
no? You're wondering if she can ever work from home.
No, but I mean, she talks to me about jobs in Canada and all. There, contracting still works.
Yeah.
You get paid hourly and all. But
True.
in India, I think that shift in mindset is required. There, the cost of permanent employee is very high.
Yeah.
You have to give them so many benefits and all. So people prefer contractual work.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the reason why is it prevalent? Like, what is the thesis behind why is it prevalent in the West?
I think, I don't know why it's prevalent in the West, but I can probably comment on why it's not so prevalent in India. It's also because, as a society in India, we want to be more secure and more stable vis-a-vis the people in the West. We always seek for security, want to have a family, want to stay with the family, and there has to be a constant source of income that has to keep coming. So it has always remained a taboo, and also because there were dearth of opportunities when it comes to contracting earlier, which is not now.
Okay.
Right? So people never really thought about it as a full-time, continuous source of income, which is now changing a bit. And I'm not too sure about why it was always prevalent in the West, but this is what I think about India.
I don't know about the companies. Without naming the company, have you seen cases wherein companies who were never, hiring contract labor or were not, are now open to that?
Yes, a lot of them actually. A lot
Okay.
of our clients who probably never thought about contracting are looking at that option now.
Because I think that revolution will have to be led by the tech giants.
Yeah.
Once they start doing it, then smaller people will also be open to that. And I think at every stage it is very cost effective also. Now when I come to think about it from company's point of view.
It helps in multiple ways
yes.
actually. It helps in, multiple ways. And as I said, it would depend on what the candidate really wants from his life and if he wants to do it or not. For those people, it really works well.
And again, from a consulting, from a vendor point of view, from the people who are selling to the candidates, do you think their job will become easier or harder? Is it easier to sell contracting to a candidate or difficult?
Well, I haven't sold this to anyone, but if a person is, it's equally challenging, I feel.
It's equally challenging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now talking about your story again, like you have been in this industry for almost 8.5, 9 years now in just Page, and before that also. Like we were talking about evolution of a talent acquisition professional and now a client relationship professional as well. How have you upskilled yourself? How have you been able to keep yourself up to date? And what is, again, something that a young talent acquisition professional who's maybe 2-3 years listening to this podcast can do to be, because this sector is evolving.
Yeah.
So how can they keep themselves up to date? Yeah.
I think one of the very important things is to be aware of the market that you
Yes.
are hiring for. Extremely important. And when I say market, it's one word, but it covers a lot of things. Understand about your clients, what are they doing, what space do they operate in, who are a part of that organization, who are the decision makers. Understanding your candidate market very well. If, let's say, a client tells me to hire for cybersecurity, I should know which are my
Yes.
places or which are the organizations I need to go to find such talent. What kind of salaries do they sit at? So everything should be at the tip of my fingers if I'm into recruitment or talent acquisition. That will set you apart. Like knowing your market in and out is the key.
Because the market is changing and
True.
research skills and intuitiveness and inquisitiveness and curiosity are, I think, very important
Very,
traits.
very important.
For all the team members sitting over here, I would ask you to listen to this very carefully.
Yeah.
So I
And even people skills. So to
Yeah.
answer your question now on how things have evolved and how we upskill ourselves, one is the constant upskilling which is required is understanding the market, knowing the market. Two is on the people front, because recruitment is all about people. You're dealing with people in and out, with your clients, with your candidates. So you need to understand people, form relationships better, or understand or read between the lines, able to understand how you can deal with the person, set the expectations correct. I think that's a softer aspect which has to continuously evolve.
Does it come with the experience, or did you proactively do something to understand it, or when you go in the market you learn on the job?
When you go in the market, you learn on the job. However, it's important to look back and see what could have been done differently.
Yes.
If you don't do that, then maybe you're not fastening your process to learn. You need to look back and see.
Yeah, self-awareness.
Yes. What could have been done differently? What if somebody, maybe discussing it with people, what would you have done on this? Or understanding different stories, that people have. So we share a lot of stories at Page with each other about our placements, about what worked, what did not work. We learn from each other. We look at our own stories and learn from our own stories. So it's important to look back, take a step back and think what could have been done differently.
I think there's an important trait which all the good, like even John was talking about, there's something called root cause analysis they used to do at Craig, which was analyzing why did this candidate drop off at the final interview, learning from the mistakes, because it is human relationship, you will make mistakes and you will learn and it will also evolve. So I think analyzing that, I think we need to start treating recruitment with a lens of a process. Like we do in tech, like when we write a code and if there's a bug, you do root cause analysis. Similarly, I think it has to be viewed there, and I think this is and I also believe a new batch of TAs will emerge who are genuinely interested, who genuinely want to do that, who genuinely care for people. And once they genuinely do that, it automatically will come who are genuinely interested about businesses. Because even when we hire, we see how much research they did about Suitable. Like who are our competitors, what space we are in, what is the kind of candidates we will potentially hire, something like that. So I think that is becoming very important.
True.
Now, what is that one or two things that you look for in a candidate when you hire for your team? Or let's say you are setting up your own team, what is that one or two skills that you would look for?
Sure. So a couple of things actually that overall as a Page we look at. We look at the hunger in the person to grow. I think that's extremely important. As I was mentioning earlier, we are a high performance organization. We want to be profitable. We are profitable and we always strive for better. So hunger for growth is extremely important, goes without saying. Someone who takes ownership of the work given to him, and as I was mentioning, we are many businesses running within Page, so we have to take accountability and ownership of what we are doing. That's very important, and being resilient. I think recruitment is a place where you will have people backing out, offer dropouts, rejections. You call up the client or a candidate, and rejections is a part of recruitment. Jobs on hold. I mean, you can talk about any number of things that can go wrong, and it's also very much dependent on the external market conditions, external dynamics. So there's not always too many things that you can do about it, right? Things which are in your control, you can handle, you can manage, but a lot of things go out of your control. So one needs to be very resilient, and you need to have that never give up attitude.
Or a thick skin.
Yeah, probably, but I think to pick yourself up and make sure that the next day is as fresh and as good and full of energy and enthusiasm.
What do you do to motivate yourself or your team in such scenarios when the days like they work very hard and something did not go through, and then what do you do?
On this question, as I said, I'm not currently managing a team.
But when you did,
so it's important to understand what motivates that person in his life. So making sure that you surround things at office and connect some dots with what the person is looking for.
The long-term vision, basically, painting that picture. Interesting. And I think that is one of the important, things that I would like to talk about. The reason why we started this podcast is because recruitment is so underrated. People think that it is easy, and there's an image of HRs being very transactional. People don't even know the difference between TA and recruiters and human resource people in companies. And the kind of hard work that you guys put in, and the kind of resilience that is required in this profession is immense, and
Yeah.
it will become more and more immense. I mean,
True.
going forward.
It is consultative sales. You know,
Yes.
you have to make numbers, you have targets, but at the same time there are so many other things involved in the process. You have to be very patient. You have to be resilient, as I said. So a lot of things that goes into being a recruitment consultant, or we can talk about how a day in the life of a recruitment
Please go
consultant
ahead.
looks like.
Yeah.
It's full of, you have meetings with your clients and candidates. You call up so many people to book those meetings, whether it's candidates or clients. You speak to people, cover them for jobs, send CVs to the client. You have timelines, deadlines to be able to share CVs. And when we say we book meetings with candidates, we actually make it a point that we speak to all our candidates for about 45 minutes.
Wow.
Before actually sending him or her to our clients. And that's what Michael Page stands for, right? We've got specialist people hiring for those disciplines. Like I told you, I come with that
Verticals,
background.
yeah.
So that understanding, or a subject matter expert who understands what the candidate is actually telling you, helps in many ways. So meeting the candidate, understanding what he or she is looking for, what are the top motivators for him, why is he looking out first of all, and what are those 3 things or 4 things that would really matter to him when he or she is looking out. So there's this entire process that we follow, and it's the day is completely action packed. And during that day, if something falls off, we have to just pick ourselves up and be
find
ready for the
win.
next.
Yeah. And if you could, now this is my last question. I kind of, this is a very intriguing question about self-introspection and self-awareness. If you could go back in time and probably, change something, or any advice you would like to give yourself so that, you could have done anything in a more improved way, what would that be?
So if I were to advise my younger self,
Yes.
it would probably be take more risk, don't follow the herd.
Okay.
Do what you want to do.
Right.
Because a lot of times when we are young kids, when at least I was a young kid, we would look at people, oh, that person is doing that, let's do that. The grass always looks greener on the other side. But it's important to evaluate what you want to do in your life. What are your strengths? What are you made for? So introspection is important at that stage also, to be able to get in the right thing. And if you're not sure about what you want to do, then maybe explore a couple of things, and you would know what you don't want to do. So at least you don't get into those things that you don't want to do and realize it later. So it's extremely important to have that clarity as soon as possible.
Yeah. And I think that's a good advice. Elimination is also a method.
Elimination is a great method to know what you really
What
don't
you
want to do.
Right.
True.
So, and I also feel recruitment is not for everyone.
It
Now
is,
that I interact with people, I feel you need to have a very, you need to be able to take risk-taking ability.
Yeah.
Apart from resilience is also one important thing. Otherwise,
True.
you will just get irritated.
True,
And you
true.
will leave it anyway.
True.
Yeah. So,
I think taking more risk is also important at that stage, because at that time your risk appetite is very high. You can go explore the world out there. Things
Yes.
don't work out, you can always start something new.
yes. And on that, how was your experience on the podcast? Did
Very
you
nice.
feel like we were recording?
No, actually not.
Thank God. So,
Did I look like I'm being nervous?
No. You guys want to ask anything?
Off the record.
So, Rakhi, thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much, Nikhil, for
And,
having me here.
I would, there is a reason why, tier A consulting firms have people like you there, because it was such a learning experience. And even though, we kind of, have talked about these things, but whenever we are talking, there's something new that we are learning. I'm
True.
learning. So, thanks for your time.
I mean, even I'm
Yeah.
learning from you, so goes both ways.
I don't know what I have to teach, but
You don't have
anyway.
to teach. If somebody has to learn, they'll pick up cues.
Yeah. Thank you for watching this episode, and like, share, and subscribe with people who are genuinely interested about recruitment or aspiring talent acquisition professionals. This is a genuine effort from our part to make the struggles of recruitment heard to the people and celebrate the real heroes of the corporate world who stitch the fabric of talent together. Thank you for watching.